Oh hi, I didn't see you guys there again. And this is probably the third time you guys have seen a new set change on this series that I've been keeping at for 3 episodes now. So anyway, this episode of DRN Update is going to be a little bit different than the ones before. As you guys may know, Facebook recently filed for IPO. This is in fact a really big deal in the tech community because now a social network is going forward in the stock exchange, and this could really bring Facebook's value up a lot. So this episode is really going to be dedicated to looking at what Facebook could possibly have in its future and what we really think this is all going to lead up to. But honestly, if it's just another episode where I try and make you guys laugh, I'm not really sure how much fun I'm going to have doing it. So anyway, cue theme music. Hey guys, what's up? It's Connor Mitchell, host of DRN Update for the 3rd episode, and this week we are having a little bit of a special edition of our show dedicated to Facebook. Now, why is Facebook so big this week? As you may have heard, Facebook is filing for IPO. This means that they will actually get into the stock exchange and start trading stocks. This means more money will be put into Facebook, and now Facebook has a board of directors which will now actually determine how its future will go about. So anyway, let's get talking about what is going on with Facebook now and what we think this is all going to mean for it down in the future. Alright, so from this IPO we actually learned a lot. Facebook had to give up a lot of information in order to file this IPO. One information of really juicy info that they gave up is how many active users they have. Currently, Facebook has over 800 million registered users. However, only half of them, about 440, are actually active users. You know how the old saying goes, it's not easy having over 800 million friends, especially if only half of them talk to you. This really sparked my interest because it shows that Facebook, even though it's in the hundreds of millions in terms of users, a much smaller percentage of them are actually active. In fact, half of them are active. Which is rather interesting because I've tried going in and finding out how to delete your Facebook account. It takes a total of 2 weeks to delete your Facebook account. You need to go in, write a reason of why you are deleting your Facebook account, send it in, then 2 weeks later, they will delete your account. And within that entire 2 weeks, you cannot use your Facebook account at all. Otherwise, it will cancel the process, and then you have to start it all over. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg, you always have something new to offer the world. But anyway, another really big fact that came out during this entire process was that in the terms of in the board of directors, Mark Zuckerberg will not be the chairman. I actually believe the current chairman of the board for Facebook is in fact the CEO of the Washington Post. Just another way that proves that Mark Zuckerberg is not a businessman. Because when you are looking for someone to be the chairman of the board, not only do they have to be a person who knows the way the company should go, but also somebody who can appeal to the business aspects of all these other board directors. Mark Zuckerberg clearly did not have it. Also, because Mark Zuckerberg is taking on 25% of the company's shares, starting January 1st in 2013, his salary will be reduced to $1. So that means every year he'll be able to go to Taco Bell and order the very best of their 89-cent burritos that he could possibly get. But because of the shareholders, the board of directors, the new chairman of the board, and Mark Zuckerberg taking the company in a whole new direction that's never been in before, the question really stands: how much time does Facebook really have before it starts to go down in terms of most valued social network on the planet? Let's take a prime example, MySpace. You remember them? Back in 2003, when they were created, they were a whole new kind of thing. By 2006, they were worth over $500 million. Last year, they were sold to the man who promised his entire career to bringing sexy back. Where it went, I have no idea, but clearly it did not go to MySpace. And it still hasn't. Nobody's been on that site. It's the abandoned amusement park of the internet. And who's to say the same won't happen for Facebook? People say to me all the time, like, oh, that may never happen because it's such a long time away before it actually will even look like that will happen. Well, unfortunately, a long time on the internet is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. Twitter back in 2009 was the punchline of every joke on every single late night show. Now, you can't go to a football game, you can't watch a baseball game, you can't listen to a radio show without them bringing up, hey, follow us on our Twitter account. We'll be sending out updates throughout the hour. It really did evolve into something that is much bigger than anybody expected it to. And Facebook should take mind of this. They should also take mind of what the other two social networks, Twitter and Google+, are actually doing with themselves. Twitter is basically the new hip thing among teenagers. It's simple, it's non-complex, and most importantly, it requires virtually zero brain power to use. Google+ is a much more advanced version of Facebook than it could ever hope of being. It introduced group hangouts, which Barack Obama, the President of the United States, broadcasted across the entire internet on YouTube this week. They have a new way of keeping things public and private to certain people. And most importantly, Google has been trying at the social network realm for years now. And I really think now they got one right. And something very interesting that was brought up to me by my dad, and believe me, this was shocking to me, and the first time I heard it I was just blowing it off, but now that I think about it, it really seems like a possibility. He wanted to know if I thought if Mark Zuckerberg would sell off the company. And at first when I thought about this, I was like, absolutely not. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. Why would he sell it off? But then something I thought about is that, like, he now has shares. And I think if he sold off half of his shares, he would probably get about $20 billion out of it. And that would be a lot. He could go off, do just about anything, and he could probably retire at the age of 27. But more importantly is probably the fact that Facebook, since it might not have much longer, how much longer does Mark Zuckerberg plan to stay at the helm? In my mind, I don't see Mark Zuckerberg leaving anytime soon. He's definitely not like that captain of the ship that went down in Italy or wherever it was. I do believe when we see Facebook's value go back down into the hundreds of millions, that's when things will become a little bit sketchy and stockholders will begin selling. That's when I don't see Mark Zuckerberg saying, let's take the company in a newer direction, let's build upon it even more. I believe one of the people like Eduardo Savern or one of the COOs that he has in place, or CFOs, I believe they'll probably end up taking over, probably by the time the company hits that point. And it may come sooner than we think. It may come one day when we look at Facebook's value, it has gone from what MySpace considered the impossible reach for them that they had achieved, to then them selling it to a guy much like Justin Bieber. Who knew? Who knows? He might actually be the next CEO or co-owner. But overall though, I really am quite interested to see where this entire turn with Facebook will end up turning. I really don't know where it will go from here, but quite honestly, I think it might go where people start making a lot of money incredibly quickly off of Facebook, and then I believe the bottom will fall through sooner or later. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe even not in 5 years, but at some time Facebook is going to fall through. I don't see it staying around much longer, especially now that it has real competition for the very first time among a different group of people. People who simply want to talk in brief 140-character statements, and people who are looking for a much more advanced social network than one that basically has not exactly changed a whole lot since 2009. And when it did, everybody pretty much hated it, and now they're dropping like flies and going the other way. But until that point, or until we see some change in the company, I actually do have to congratulate Mark Zuckerberg on what he's accomplished in this really, really crazy industry of technology, social networking, and just this incredibly much more uncertain realm of the stock market. Because little do we know how much can change in just a couple of days. Alright guys, so that is it for the special edition update of DRN Update. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more tech content like this. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, check us out on Facebook. Now check us out on Google+, our brand new Google+ page, my personal page, and DragonRiderNetwork's page. And be sure to check out the website, DragonRiderNetwork.com. Anyway guys, I've been Connor Mitchell, your host of DRN Update, and I will catch you guys at the next episode, which will hopefully be an actual episode. Talk to you guys then. Why do I keep looking around?